So yesterday at the coffee shop, it was really, really slow. So it ended up just being my friend Carly came to hang out and we ended up just talking most of the time.
Nice.
Then one of my favorite regulars came in, this lawyer. Love this guy. He's hilarious.
This is the Talking Heads lawyer?
This is the Talking Heads lawyer, yes. He came in and he was like doing his regular thing. He's like, "Oh, I'll have a plain Jane half calf, half decaf latte, please." I'm like, "Yeah, cool." And he like sat down to get some work done right before we closed, and my coworker went out to lock up the tables, and he came back in immediately, and he's like, "I can't lock up the tables. There's a praying mantis on it." And immediately this like 50-year-old lawyer like straightens up in his seat. He's like, "A praying mantis?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've never seen one in real life before."
Really?
No.
Huh.
Yeah, I've never seen one in
Really?
Never.
I don't know that I've seen one in
never.
real life.
Really?
I mean,
Same.
I could probably count on one hand the number of times that I have seen one in real life, but it has
But
been
it's still more than
once.
one.
And
Yeah.
I have seen one. So in this area
Yeah.
even.
Yeah, well, yeah, I never in my life. So I like ran out and like the lawyer was like hot on my tail because he was also like super excited. And we got out and he was like between the leg of the table and the top of the table. He was kind of like perched in there.
Oh yeah,
And-
in the
And like the lawyer and I got like squatted down and we're like looking at it and I'm like, "Wow, that's a real praying mantis." And the lawyer's like, "What's it doing downtown?" And we're like
It's praying, obviously.
obviously.
yeah.
We are like right around the block from like two different churches. So
Yeah, that's an area of town that has a lot of very large churches.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
cool-looking
weird.
ones,
I've
too.
seen a lot of Catholic guilt mantises, but I've never seen a praying mantis.
It's one of those
a lot
evangelical
of
mantises you hear about.
deconstructing mantises.
I saw an agnostic
But-
mantis once.
No, you haven't, Jeff. No
Bullshit.
one has.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Casual Obsession, the horror movie podcast where we talk about horror movies. And we've got a very special guest in the Totally Real studio with us today, Oliver Cranbersher, a stop motion animator. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Who's that?
Hi, everybody. My name is Oliver Cranbersher. I'm a
it
long
sounds-
time YouTube
Sounds just
animator.
like me. It's incredible.
I've been responsible for many things. The Godfather, you may have seen it. All
Oh,
stop
yeah.
motion.
Didn't even realize that was stop motion. Incredible.
So well done.
Well, I had to key in Al Pacino, but the rest of it is,
Oh, of course.
If it was
sure.
just Al
You know how Al
Pacino on a green
Pacino is.
screen the whole time.
The whole time.
Honestly,
Hi.
I don't know if that would hurt my impression of that movie.
It would make it way
No, I'm
better.
I'm sorry, continue.
Yeah,
honestly.
No, hi, everybody. Great to be here. Nice to meet you all.
Nice.
Yeah, we are
nice
excited to have you.
Hey.
talk to you in person because I feel like we only have I've been in your chat on Twitch and we've talked like in DMs before, but never voice to voice. So that's just cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, ordinarily
Pretty
with a stop
poggers.
motion podcast, you'd have to like set up the camera and the microphone and like say one word and then set it all up again and say the next word. But this is
Yeah,
a
it's
little
a
bit of a
nightmare.
different process, right?
Yeah. No. Time's going by way faster. It's crazy.
Yeah. True. But who
Actually-
else is here?
Yeah.
I'm Noah. And I've got a really stupid question / joke to ask once the introductions
Okay.
are done.
We have Noah. We have me, Nina. We have
Me, Emma.
And we have me, Jeff.
Okay, really stupid question. Because you work in stop motion, do you ever have this sensation that the rest of the world is moving too fast when you're doing things?
That's not a stupid question. That happens all the time.
Thank goodness.
Really?
Because in
Yeah.
my mind, it's like an advanced version of like the Guitar Hero, like you know how when you play Guitar Hero too much, like the world starts to like get like really weird and soupy in front of you because it's not moving and you're so used to it.
Yeah, like you see your vision like is falling down, but it isn't.
Yeah. I kind of assume stop motion is similar to that, but obviously not that.
No, yeah, like I'm working on a project right now, and I'm looking at my schedule, and I I have a year to finish it, and I'm already like, fuck, I'm screwed. There's no way. So that's not a stupid question. That's actually, I think that's very real. And I doubt I'm the only stop motion animator that feels like that.
That makes sense.
Nice.
It's like the whole
does.
like Quicksilver in the X-Men where it's like he just perceives everything is going like slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Takes that orange
You're
juice right out of the
basically-
air.
Oh,
Yeah.
So as an animator, you're basically an X-Man.
Yep.
When you think about it.
That's how
Wild.
I'm perceiving this.
They're real. There's one of them,
I
and
knew it.
he's not very useful, but just hides away behind curtains and like plays with dolls. It's great.
I gotta be
Yeah.
honest, that sounds like a pretty good job, though.
It does.
It's something.
But you know what we're not here to talk about? Your job. We didn't bring you here to talk about your job.
Absolutely.
Oh my god.
We
Hold
brought
on a
you here to
second.
talk about a movie you didn't work on.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course.
great.
That's the reason that everybody has guests on their podcast, to talk about
Yeah.
things that they didn't do.
Yeah, exactly. No, but we are here today to talk about a stop motion movie. We're here to talk about ParaNorman. 2012, that's when it was. I'm like, it's literally right in front of me. Yeah, ParaNorman is a stop motion movie made by Leica Studios. It was released in 2012. It follows the story of a boy named Norman who lives in this kind of small tourist trappy town that has a history of like a witch's curse. And Norman can see dead people. He can see ghosts. And as we follow him in the beginning of the movie, we see that that's not all he's seeing for once. He's also seeing these omens and these faces kind of just appearing over the people around him. And it seems like something more is going on than just his usual normal ghost seeing stuff. And that is all that I will say before we get into spoilers.
It's very spooky.
Noah, it's very spooky. It's got a lot of horror like homages in it, which is fun and
Oh,
cute.
for sure.
Is this set in the same world as the I See Dead People Kid Shyamalan movie?
Absolutely.
Oh, Sixth Sense.
I would hope so.
Yeah,
Nice.
for sure. Those two would get along so well.
I don't know if they
Absolutely.
would, if we're being honest.
Little known fact, M. Night Shyamalan directed ParaNorman.
I believe you,
Whoa.
and I have no reason to doubt you.
This is why we brought you here, for these fun little facts that no one knows.
Fun factoids.
Yeah, it was ghost directed by M. Night Shyamalan.
Ghost directed.
That's what you learned during your internship
Topical.
at Leica, huh?
Yeah.
That's all the
took
fun
us in a
facts that you get.
secret room and told us all the secrets.
They took
The
you into
secret.
the Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Most studios only do that with full-time employees. Really nice of them to do that with interns.
Yeah. They're just like, just don't tell anybody.
Oh
and
no,
now
should
here
we?
you are.
We won't tell anyone.
I'm
else,
exposing
don't worry.
Leica.
We'll make sure to put that that filter on your voice that they do in like true crime videos where they're like, well, then when they took me into the book,
Yeah.
you know, the usual stuff.
Thank you. I
Typical.
appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
We
Protect
we
your
respect our
identity.
guests' privacy.
What we don't respect is the privacy these movies have, though. And so I'm going to get into the nitty gritty and tell you what the ratings are on
Yeah,
these.
critical ratings on this.
I didn't see, unfortunately, there was no Ebert on this one.
Oh,
Not only
no.
because he's dead, but, you know, none of his people touched it either that I saw. Bums me out, but we do have IMDb at a 7 out of 10, Rotten Tomatoes at an 89%, Metacritic at a 72%, and Letterboxd at a 3 out of 5, which that's a 60%. That's kind of sad.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Mhm.
deserve that.
I remember when
Seems
this
a
movie
little
came
low.
out. When this movie came out and I watched it, I didn't think it was that good.
Why did I say 3 out of 5? Oh, shit.
Ooh.
I'm sorry. That's left over from It Chapter 2. This is a 3.6.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Just
better.
reading the wrong
That's too
movie's
high for it.
reviews.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good job, babe.
Thanks. I mean, it's not as bad as when I left, like, I don't remember what the movie was,
You
but I
weren't
left
even
my,
here,
like,
and you
3
left
out of 10
your 3 out
from
of
a
10
different
up.
movie. And
Yeah.
everyone's like, why did Noah hate this movie? We all universally enjoyed it. At least I'm here to
Yeah,
fix
that was
it.
It was
Sinister,
very
I think.
funny. Yeah, it was.
God, it was.
It was sinister, and you left your Saw review up. But
That doesn't
yeah,
sound
when I
right.
first saw this movie, it was not long after it came out. And I don't know why. Probably just because I hadn't watched a lot of horror in general, and this movie does pay a lot of respects to a lot of that stuff and is very like genre referencey. I didn't think it was that good.
Ooh.
But now that I like have watched it again as an adult, I'm like way more into it personally. But I do think that these These reviews are kind of meh. I'm saddened.
Yeah. Well, if you were to give it a review, Nina, like a numerical score, from like, let's say like 1 to 10, what would you give it though?
Obviously, it being what it is one of my favorite like kids movies. I'd put it up there, probably like an 8 out of 10, solid 8.
Yeah,
nice. That's pretty good. What about you, Noah?
All things considered and crunching the numbers, I'm gonna have to ring in with a solid 8 out of 10.
Very good. Jeff?
I'm gonna match the tone of the room and give it an 8 out of 10, I think.
Oh, is that your real opinion, or you just?
No, legitimately, that's what I was planning on
good.
giving it anyway. Because, like, I
Okay,
mean,
thank God.
normally we cover like actual horror movies here, and this is not one. So obviously, we're not ranking it as a horror movie
On the
right?
horror
But,
movie
like,
scale, we're ranking this
it's
as for what
fun
it
to
is.
watch. I like it.
I rank everything for what it is.
I'm probably gonna watch it again. Like, it's just a fun movie.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you the seat of influence, Cranthony,
Okay.
being the last one to reveal your score. This is not a bit. I also gave it an 8.
Oh my God.
This is
Hot
a very fun movie. It's a really good time. It does some nice little surprise twists things because, of course, M. Night Shyamalan movie, you got to have a twist in there.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, right.
But it's just an enjoyable, really solid movie. So Cranathan, what do you give it?
I would give it a 7.9.
Whoa, nice.
I see you're bringing down the average.
I'd give
great.
it an 8. I'd also give it an 8.
Solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Across the board. We even have an extra person. That never happens.
This might be the most perfect rating that we've ever had for a movie.
Yeah.
We
right?
all gave Midnight Mass a 10.
Oh yeah.
That doesn't
We did all
count.
give
Midnight
That's a
Mass
show.
it stands apart.
Yeah.
It's an exception.
It
yeah.
specifically twisted a screw into each of our like we're struggling and thinking about this right now points.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
I haven't
know,
seen it yet.
Yeah.
Midnight Mass.
Um.
Yeah, I think honestly, I feel like an 8 is a really solid spot to put the movie though, right? Because it's not a perfect movie. No, there is no perfect movie, but like it's a really fun time. This is another movie that I think would do really well as like background at the Halloween party movie.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
When you want to have
Mhm.
less of a serious tone.
Totally.
Yeah.
So you don't want to pull a scream and just have Halloween
do
running the
wanna
whole time,
have-
but you want to have something fun and thematic.
You do want to have a bunch of adults go, "Oh my God, they killed a kid?" Because we're getting into content warnings. There's child death in this movie.
God, Nina, you couldn't wait for the
Hey.
content warnings.
It
Which
is
is
content
next?
warnings. I was trying to segue. Wow. Yeah. No. There's child death in this movie. There's just a lot of death in general. In a kids movie, which is unusual. So I am giving these content warnings as usual, but also since it is a kids movie, I will like say.
I don't think there's
If you
that
wanna
much more
show it to
child death
kids.
than like Finding Nemo.
No, I mean like the kid dealing with like dead bodies and stuff is what
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
kind of thinking of as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
What child died in Finding Nemo?
There was an
Emma,
entire.
there were like 150 of them. They got eviscerated by a
They got
barracuda.
murked in the first scene.
For fish, that was as bad as the opening for It Chapter 2.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Fish trauma and other things brought to you by Casual Obsession.
This movie doesn't have any fish death.
Yeah,
there-
no.
No
There's
fish
a
at
fish
all.
head, though. No, incorrect. There's a big fish head so that you know the garbage can is full of garbage.
That is
Oh,
true.
yeah.
Oh, that's true. That's true. All right. So warning: fish death also.
Yeah, but there's also we got bullying. It is a movie set with a couple scenes in a school, and one of the primary characters is a bully. It's rough, but it happens in a lot of kids' movies, and zombies. That's a main theme in this movie too.
If you hear rough and you think as bad as the bullying in It,
No,
no,
it's a
nowhere
kid's
near that
movie.
bad. This is
No,
still
it's
a kids
laughable.
movie. It's
Yeah.
to an adult. It's like, yeah, he's a bully and he can't spell, but
Yeah.
it's still there. So
There's
And the
I thought of
zombies are
another
fun.
one.
Oh.
There's some uncomfortable sexual harassment.
Oh, yeah, I guess there is a little bit of that. But like
Oh, yeah.
directed towards both genders throughout the movie, because Courtney gets kind of weird with Mitch, and then there's some stuff that happens with Courtney too, I believe.
Yep.
I think other than that.
I heard so few names over the course of this movie. It was really hard for me to keep track of what character was which.
We were on YouTube and we had subtitles on.
Oh, that must be nice.
So we had, which was really funny. I watched this movie with my friend Carly, and she kept calling the theater teacher by the High School Musical theater teacher's name, despite the fact that it was on screen. So love her.
The year is 2022, and she still remembers the name of the theater teacher from High School Musical?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not surprised.
Don't question it. Okay, yeah, that's it for content warnings. Again, it's a kids movie, so you can probably handle it, but I'm not one to tell
But some
anyone.
people, Nina, some people maybe couldn't handle it.
That's a good
And
point.
that is why we have a scientific system on this podcast where Emma says how scary a movie is. Emma, how scary a movie is.
Well, let me print out the lab results here really quick. Looks like it's a 10 out of 10 scary if you're less than 5 years old. If you're over 5 years old, our tests show it's about a 1 out of 10 scary.
Mm-hmm. Very scientific.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are very scientific on this podcast.
Oh yeah, tons of research went into that.
There was a moment where Carly said, "Yeah, if I were a toddler, I'd be pissing myself right now."
You know what? That means that our science holds up.
Yeah, exactly.
Independent conclusions here.
Unrelated to ParaNorman, but another stop motion animated movie. When Coraline came out, my brother went and saw it opening weekend, and he highly recommended it to me, so I went and saw it. But he talked to me about it's a kids movie kind of, or it was marketed as a kids movie, but he was like, when I was watching it, a bunch of families had their little kids there with them, and the little kids were crying because they were really scared, and so so many people had to leave.
That's I had my little sister watch Coraline with me. And I think it was the Dead Dogs that did it. The scene where the two older ladies are like, "Yeah, we taxidermy all our dead dogs."
Not the Spider Mom.
No, not the Spider Mom. No, my little sister got so was upset by it and told my mom that she had nightmares, and I was like, okay, so maybe I misjudged. Maybe that's on me. And then literally a week later, she's like, "Do you have any other scary movies? Can we watch more? Can we watch more scary movies, please?"
I can't believe, Nina, you fell into the trap of animated movies are always for children of all ages, no matter what.
I had seen Coraline, and in my head, she could handle it because she's mean to me, and I figured that
that does
it. Are we gonna have your sister on as a guest for the Coraline episode?
I think that could be fun. I'll ask her if she's available, but it's gonna come down to recording equipment anyway. With that out of the way, let's finish up this summary. So this movie starts out with Norman kind of being a loner. He's not really got any friends, or anything. He is friendly with the various ghosts around town. We see that the ghost of his grandma kind of hangs out in his house, and they've carried on their relationship, despite his parents and his older sister thinking that he's lying and also super weird. As he walks to school, he says hi to all the ghosts, and they're all really friendly with him. And then he gets to school and immediately clams up. There are two other outcasts at the school, Selma and Neil. And Neil seems to really want to be friends with Norman. He has decided that Norman is someone that he wants to be friends with, and he is not taking no for an answer.
Putting it.
They go about their school day. They start practicing this play that they have to put on for the parents about the town's history of there being this witch's curse. The story goes that 7 people put this witch on trial and found her guilty of just being a witch in general, and so they hung her. And as this play rehearsal is going on and Norman has to be this pilgrim, we see the world start to melt away and his classmates' faces are replaced with these kind of ghoulish but not ghostly faces of some older people, pilgrimy looking people. He freaks out and starts to see other weird stuff, like this kind of scraggly looking dude seems to be following him around. And after that, this guy comes up to him and he's like, "Hey, I gotta tell you, you gotta stop the curse. Oh, the curse, you gotta stop it." And Neil's there, watching this happen, and he's like, "Hey, leave Norman alone." And the scraggly dude's like, "Absolutely not. You gotta stop the curse." He does leave when threatened with spicy hummus.
I love that.
But not after hacking and wheezing a whole bunch. As he leaves, Neil's like, "That guy was weird," and Norman's like, "Oh, that's my uncle, Mr. Pendergast." So Norman does go to hang out with Neil, and because Neil is like, "Hey, if you can talk to dead people, can you talk to my dead dog?" And Norman's like, "Yeah, I guess." They go over to his place and meet Neil's older brother, Mitch. Mitch is a completely like himbo of a character, and he does say outright like, "Oh, isn't Norman the weird kid?" Which is like great because Norman's already getting bullied at school. And Neil's like, "No, he's not that weird. Don't worry about it. We're gonna go hang out with the dead dog in the backyard, and we don't even have to dig it up or anything." So they go and have a cute little scene of them hanging out and becoming friends, and Norman opening up a little bit. But then we see that Mr. Pendergast, as he's getting really excited about not having to do this witch curse stuff anymore, he also just keels over dead, which is great for him. He shows up the next day when Norman's at school in the same bathroom as the bully who's trying to do a little bit of graffiti. It's not working out too great for him.
Poor Alvin can't spell a 5-letter word that's his own name.
I love Alvin.
And the chipmunks.
And the chipmunks. 1 second.
I was like, we're having some mild
technical
difficulties,
Jeff,
I think.
When this happens to me,
I got no idea what's going on here.
Me neither.
I think you might have, because if you exit out of Discord, it will look like it's closed, but you can reopen it and it's fine.
I have
which I think might be happening.
Attempted to reopen it multiple times, and it just keeps giving me the spinning logo in the middle and doing nothing. Weird. So, yeah.
But you can hear us?
I can hear you, and you can hear me, apparently.
And you're recording?
I am still recording. I have not stopped because I thought I would be able to just close it and
I see no problems with this.
It kind of seems like things are working, but like I feel
we
very
even see
weird
your
about
video.
It.
Yeah.
You fucking kidding me with this? What? Well, that doesn't make any sense. Wait, hold on. What about now?
Nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed.
Damn, I can't believe you're turning cartwheels right now.
I have fully closed Discord at this point. This is really weird. All right. Well.
If you disappear, we'll stop.
Yeah, if it's still working well enough, we can just keep going. But
all right.
Yeah.
Sorry that you cannot see us. As long as you can hear us, though.
I can. So, yep.
Cool.
Tight.
Okay. Back into it. Yeah. Mr. Pendergast shows up in the bathrooms at the school to deliver this kind of monologue to Norman about stopping the witch's curse, telling him that it has to be done or else the dead will rise and stuff. So he tells Norman to get this book. And he's like, "It's this, I have a book in my hands." And Norman's like, "Your hands are empty." He's like, "No, not these hands, my body's hands, you numbnuts." And so with that out of the way, he's like, "Cool, that's all of my business. I'm outsies," and goes and passes on to the afterlife. Norman, who has been making a fool of himself with all this ghost business, he had a moment during the school play and everything, decides that, yeah, maybe he'd better do this. So he goes to Pendergast's house to get this book. We have some slapstick with a dead body in there. Get the book, and he's supposed to read this book at the witch's grave. So he heads out to this grave site and starts to read the story as the sun goes down. Alvin sees him on the way to the gravesite and follows him there. But as Norman's trying to do this little ritual thing, the dead do indeed start to rise. 7 zombies crawl their way out of the ground, and that's the scene where Carly said that if she was a kid, she'd be pissing her pants. And these zombies are acting pretty normal for zombies. They're groaning and looking around and stuff. And Alvin and Norman freak out and run away. Meanwhile, Norman's sister has been looking for him because she was supposed to be babysitting and totally lost track of him. So she suspects that he's at Neil's place and goes over there and runs into Mitch, Neil's brother, who is shirtless. And she's like, oh, this guy, super hot. I'm into him. I'm going to make a big deal out of this. So she gets Mitch to drive her and Neil to find Norman. They do this pretty quickly in Neil's van. And we have an extended chase sequence before they decide to go to the town hall to see if they can figure out what went wrong exactly. They think that they went to the wrong grave, and they need to find the witch's actual grave. While they're in the town hall, the zombies are wandering around, and the townspeople cause a mob and stuff until the zombies eventually do break into the town hall and just straight up start talking to Norman. Norman can talk to them just fine. And they're like, you need to stop the curse. And Norman's like, oh, so you're on my side on this one. And the zombies are like, yes, absolutely. And they tell the story of what exactly happened. And Norman finds out that the witch was, in fact, a kid about his age named Agatha who could see and talk to dead people. And they were afraid of her. And so they killed this child, and that is the ghost of the witch. The book that Norman had to read out of was a fairy tale to make her go to sleep. Norman is understandably upset by this, but is able to talk down the townspeople from killing the zombies, and they head out to where the woods where they believe the witch's grave to be. On the way there, Norman's like, yeah, I'm just going to talk to her, see how that goes. He does get there. There's a really, really fun sequence where he shows up with the book and Agatha is there. And she's very upset, obviously. And he has the book and she like gets like, there's like the sound cuts out. And she gets really close to his ear and says, I don't want to go to sleep and you can't make me. And that's like one of my favorite
that's
moments.
where the 1 scary comes from my rating system of 1 out of 10 scary.
Yeah, no, that was a good one.
Yeah.
That it leads into a really fun sequence of Norman telling her a story that is just her own story. And saying, yes, there's a lot of bad people and what happened to you is awful, but taking it out on other people who haven't done anything to you is not going to help anyone. Aren't there good people in your life? And she, in the most messed up part of the like movie, if you're an adult, because you can put the two and two together, she tells Norman that her mom read her stories under this tree. And because she's buried at this tree, you can put 2 and 2 together that this is where they killed this child. And it's really a moment that's like, it's very bittersweet and sad as Norman talks her down and she is able to pass on to be in the afterlife with her mom. Norman comes out of it and all of his family and friends apologize for the way that they treated him. And he gets to go home and his dad and grandmother interact again and it's really cute. And in the plot twist that like blew my mind as a kid, Courtney's flirting with Mitch and mentions that they should watch a movie. And Mitch is like, oh yeah, absolutely. You're going to love my boyfriend. He's a total chick flick nut. And that was like, as a kid, I'm like, oh my God, that's like the best plot twist ever.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Wow.
And
He
yeah,
did it again.
He really did.
that is ParaNorman. A very just fun romp of a movie.
I do want to just in case anyone thinks that we actually think it's M. Night Shyamalan, it was Sam Fell and Chris Butler. We do know, but it's much funnier our way. So
well, that's like M. Night Shyamalan's pen name.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, of course.
We know the truth.
He had to put all of his ideas into 2 people because no one could believe someone could be so great to put that much genius into one movie.
Of course,
yep, exactly.
That much genius being, what if the hunky man was gay? Honestly, that's a classic Shyamalan twist, though. That's pretty good.
I love Mitch so much. He's
great.
dumb.
Yeah.
He really is.
Nothing going on between
Your
his ears.
deltoids are really popping. No, I swear I've never done
used
deltoids in my life.
He's the definite classification of himbo.
Yeah.
Without
for
a
sure.
doubt.
And I love him.
All of the characters in this are so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Except for the dad.
True.
Oh my god.
dog kinda
No, I
sucks.
love the dad.
What? He was the worst.
He's such a caricature.
He's very entertaining.
That's true.
He's just
Yeah, that is
like
true.
a dude. He's shaped like a light bulb sitting on top of pants. I love him.
That is a great
All-
description.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
one of the things that I love about like animated movies and stop motion movies is like every character embodies who they are so fully in a way that you can't do in real life, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
And the dad is just a red flannel shirt and blue jeans with a goatee embodied into a person. I love that.
Carly kept calling it his lip beard.
No, don't like that.
What?
Don't like that.
But yeah, the character design in this movie is so good. I love
Mhm.
it so much. The shapes are so exaggerated. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they were described in the behind the scenes as brutally honest. Whatever that
You know
means.
what?
Ooh.
No, it does make sense. There are no
Yeah,
shots
'cause-
pulled at anybody.
Yeah, it's very honest because the sister's hips don't lie.
Neither
And-
do that cops. Oh my god.
And I can't.
Thank
I already
you,
forgot the
Cranthony,
name
for
of-
laughing at my hilarious joke.
You're welcome.
Yeah. No. There are a lot of things that like so one thing that after the movie was over was interesting was we were talking about filming or recording this episode today, and I was talking with Carly about it, and I was like, oh, and we have a guest, and she's like, that's super exciting. We were talking about your work, Oliver Cranather,
What?
and I showed
Oh no, I said the right name. Let me fix it by saying the wrong name.
I showed her some of your work, and as we're watching, she's like, "Oh my god, this is so good! Is it stop motion?" I'm like, "Yeah," and she's like, "Wait a minute, was ParaNorman stop motion?"
Oh
Oh
god,
my god. Carly.
I love that.
Oh,
I'm like,
Carly.
"Yeah," because it is like it is really smooth compared to like Coraline or Nightmare Before Christmas, which I think are like the two like big ones that everyone thinks
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nightmare Before
Mhm.
Christmas, just it does look a little choppier. And what that one's from the 90s question
Yeah,
mark?
it's like
I don't know, it's been a-
93, I think.
Yeah.
Really? Is it that
Mhm.
early? Wow.
I think. Don't quote me
I'm
on
gonna
that.
look it up.
Okay.
I'm gonna
We
quote
I
you
am
on that.
gonna quote you.
Google?
Shit.
No.
about.
1993, yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at that.
So we can quote you on that.
We can and we
Say.
will.
Danny Elfman.
I
Sorry.
knew you were gonna say that.
I'm contractually obligated to say his name whenever I see his face.
He was Jack, right?
Yeah, he voiced and
I
sang.
believe it was singing Jack
I
because
think-
there's
Okay.
two
Are there
Jack
two
Skellington
Jacks?
voices.
Okay, yeah, he did the singing.
Oh, are
one.
there?
Mhm.
And he did the music for the movie as well.
So
Oh,
I have
right.
I have a technical question related to ParaNorman that I think I have it figured out, but we do have a professional, so I'm gonna ask Jeff when animating like no. So for the ghosts in this movie, they are see-through. Sometimes they interact with things and those things are not see-through. Do you have any idea how they did that? Because my assumption is same as other things, you know, you would record that and then put it in over top and then just lower opacity or something like that.
Yeah. Do you
But
have any
I don't know.
specific scenes you're thinking of?
Yeah,
it
the
like-
bathroom
yeah,
scene
the
where
bathroom
he
with
had
this-
non-transparent toilet paper on top of his transparent body.
Yes.
I thought that was just really cool.
So I can't say for certain, but there are ways where you would do that. Like a lot of things like that would be you'd shoot the character that's going to be a ghost like separately, possibly on
Mhm.
green. So then they're isolated as an element, and then
Because ghosts are green.
yeah.
Right, of course.
I know how this works.
And then obviously you'd have like the clean plate behind them where there's nothing there. As
Mhm.
far as the toilet paper on top of them, maybe that was there in the shot and they just rotoscoped around that to like make it not transparent. But then if you have toilet
Okay.
paper behind the character, you would have to animate that separately. So there's a lot of it's complicated to put it
Right.
easily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It honestly, that was the scene by itself, because there's a lot of cool like water effects too, like the initial outpouring of water.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh yeah, I can tell that that's an animated sequence, but then like some of the drops fall down the edge as the water's done flowing.
I literally was just about to
and
bring
I'm
that
like,
up.
oh shit, those are flowing like real water. Is that real water?
Ooh.
How did this? And I don't know. It was neat. I was very, very pleased with that scene specifically.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways you do like water and or tears and or droplets, and sometimes it's called glycerol, which is like you put a powder in water and then it's kind of like a jelly, and then that because water tends to evaporate real quick in stop motion terms, so you can't really use it. But that's like more thick, and you can.
This water didn't stick around for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
What gives?
Bullshit.
What the fuck?
We only got 4 frames.
Too real. No. so that you can kind of like manipulate that really carefully with, I don't know, like a toothpick or something, and then that can be one way. There is also, which is weird to say but is true, is you can also use KY jelly for that kind of
makes
thing.
sense too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So there's just like in our animation cabinet at work, because we also use this technique on Pinocchio sometimes. There's just tubs of KY jelly just hanging out in the animation cabinet. It's fine. Don't question it.
Don't worry about that.
I remember reading something about someone going to like a they were going to be filming in the rain or something, and they also needed KY jelly for something being shot. So they went to this corner store, like gas station type of place, and bought all the condoms they had that didn't have lubrication, and then all of the lube that they had because they needed it for 2 different things. So they just walked up and bought like, $1,000 worth of condoms at this counter.
Just look the cashier in the eye.
Oh yeah,
you put them, because you put them over top of the little clip-on mics, and it makes them waterproof, but it's thin enough that it doesn't actually.
Oh wow!
The guitarists from Slipknot do that with the wireless deals for their guitars.
Oh wow!
Actually,
you know what
to
though?
Make them waterproof.
In my mind, I really feel like Slipknot does it for more than one reason.
They are definitely very entertained by the fact that that's what they do with it. Yeah. Was that a story from the making of Alien by any chance?
It could have been,
because the way that when you watch Alien,
sense.
the way that they make everything look all slimy and gross is covering it with condoms to get that like texture, and then just dumping lube all over it to make it.
That's so
drip
funny.
And be gross.
I would not be surprised.
It might have been.
I love condoms and lube.
Yeah,
I believe you.
That's Emma's catchphrase.
Emma, I think that's the
Yeah.
least creative sex-related joke you've ever made on this show.
Thank you.
Okay.
I did have a coworker when I was working at Cheesecake Factory in Houston who would buy flavored condoms and just like chew on them as snacks.
What the fuck?
What?
I don't like that.
You know what? I respect that.
Hey, Emma, do you take constructive criticism on your stories?
What the hell
No.
is that?
Can you change that story? Can you like go back in time and not?
What? I feel like
I wanna-
money and experience wise, you would get a better bang for your buck, as you might say, by just like filling a balloon with jam and eating that.
Oh my god, Jeff. I want to get back to the liquid and stop motion thing though, really quick.
Yeah, let's get back to the
'cause,
stop motion here.
Part of the one of the videos that we watched last night when I was showing Carly the Cranbersher channel was one of the Timor videos that you did of Markiplier's stuff. And there was one that like there's like a mannequin that's just like a normal looking mannequin, and then like blood like just kind of leaks out of it.
I remember.
What did you do with that one if you remember exactly?
Honestly, I'm pretty sure that was just like I had a paintbrush by and I was just painting as I went, just for like those 4 frames, because it was like it was like bloody, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I just made a tiny. I think he said you're so full of beans, and then a bean falls out.
Yeah, that sounds
So
right.
I think I just had like a tiny. I wouldn't be surprised if I also used a bit of Vaseline to keep the bean like on the mannequin as it fell, so it wouldn't just fall off him.
Sure.
So it's probably a mix of Vaseline and then just like red paint to add the little bit of blood.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. The liquid in this
So-
movie was one that definitely like impressed me. Yeah, Jeff?
Yeah. Just on a technical front, to get away from liquids, it's still the same kind of question though. The like ghost clouds that are constantly in the sky in this movie with like the flickering lights moving through them.
Yes.
I know in one of your videos you had talked about mimicking an explosion one time by like ripping a hole in a wall gradually and just shining a flashlight through it.
Yeah, that is true.
Do you
continue, sorry.
suppose that the ghost clouds in this movie would be made with like something like I'm just guessing here, like something tissue paper adjacent and just shining a light through it, or
Possibly. I do have disappointing news. I am 99.
Okay.
I was about to
Yeah,
say.
I am 99% sure most, if not all, of the fancy clouds towards the end of the movie are CGI.
Yeah.
That makes
But
sense.
maybe they made some
That's-
reference.
I was hoping that wouldn't be it, but
I know.
like some of it definitely looks like it is, but
See, we're Wallace and Gromit purists
I know.
where everything is clay. Everything
Yeah.
is clay,
Everything's clay.
and everything is clay.
Yeah,
and you can
as
see
you guys were talking,
fingerprints.
because I was under the impression, I was like, oh, clearly, like, some of this stuff is CGI.
Yeah.
And then as you were talking, I was like, wait,
there are ways
things
to
not
do
CGI?
No, there are ways to do
There
it.
are ways to do things.
But it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it's probably just a time thing and a effort
Right,
thing.
right.
Not necessarily an effort thing because that sounds bad, but you know.
No,
Well,
because
I
I
mean,
mean,
clearly
the
there's a
time,
ton of
effort,
effort
and
in-
money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, true.
and I mean clearly there's a lot of effort into other parts of this movie as well. I mean, there's so many like big group shots with the mob and everyone's moving at once, and I can't imagine how
God.
long that took. Oh my god.
Yeah, there's I don't remember how many characters there were in one shot, but I know there were a lot. They do
Yeah.
populate it slightly with extras that are CG just
Mhm.
for because
Oh.
I don't know, the animator might just decide to end it all, I guess.
Right, right.
Are you saying that you don't want to move 37 people millimeter by millimeter
I'd
for
prefer
a
not
5-minute sequence?
but you know, it happens. I think
No, it makes sense though. It makes sense.
I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's this isn't really any sort of spoiler, but there's crowd shots I've seen be done, and I know the animator who did it, and it was like
Mhm.
I want to say like probably at least 10 characters all walking in one pass.
Oof.
Because you can also split that up if there's like characters in the foreground and characters in the background. You can do a background pass where you just animate those characters and then you go back and they like put a green card behind the foreground characters. And then you animate them,
Mhm.
and that's super helpful because you can actually focus on
Yeah.
what each character's doing better. But sometimes
Mhm.
for like time constraints or just like it maybe the animator for some reason decides that they're okay with doing that. And then but anyway, so he was working on this 10 character shot, and like I ran into him like during a break, just like walking by through the canteen, and he had this look in his eye and he was just drenched in sweat. And I was like, yeah, that's fair, good luck to you, buddy.
Oh.
So-
Oh no.
Poor
Because
guy.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that like the studio you would have to shoot all that type of stuff in probably has to be real. Well, the table that you're like hovering around has to be really well lit for the most part.
Yeah, no, the lights
Mhm.
add a good bit of heat to the situation.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine they would.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it depends because sometimes you can use LEDs, but
Yeah,
they have to be a certain kind of LEDs because I like
yeah, because you run into the flicker problem with yeah.
Oh.
so sometimes they're just like incandescent like stage lights, and obviously
Ooh.
those are going to be a lot
But
more.
instead of being
hot.
30, 50, 80 feet away that already heat you up, they're right there and they still heat you
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Because there's for outdoor scenes, there's going to be a massive light just like above the entire set shining down on you the whole time. So
Right.
Without a doubt.
if it's in the winter, you might actually feel pretty comfortable, but then the summer rolls around and
With a window open.
yeah, no, you're just like enclosed in black curtains and you can't go anywhere. So
Ugh.
just they tend to remind you to drink water, understandably.
Huh. How
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, it's a good time. You do get a fan, so that's a nice luxury.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Oh,
you go.
that's pretty cool having somebody around just kind of hyping you up.
Yeah, there you go.
Woo!
Yeah, the whole time.
Move
Just like,
that
oh, man,
arm.
this is so cool.
I need water.
That would be me. I would do that. I just watched you die of dehydration, but no, I would stand around all day.
And you're just like, wow, you do that. I'm so
Yeah,
proud
I'm
of you.
so proud of you.
Dying in Guillermo del Toro's studio. That's so cool.
No, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
Did anyone watch to the end of the movie, by the way? I noticed there was like 5 minutes of credits. So I'm like, this can't be all credits. So just in case, I fast forward to the end. There's at the very end of everything, there's like a 15 to 20 second sequence of them building Norman, and he gets up and walks away.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I love that.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's like all the interconnected bits that make his little metal skeleton. It was really neat.
Yeah, it's good shit.
Wow.
That's really cool.
I remember the animator that did that. His name's Malcolm, and I asked him about it, like, because that movie came out like 10 years ago, obviously. But during the internship, he was there, and he was one of the mentors. And I asked him about that, and I was like, "Did you do that thing?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, I did that thing," just nonchalantly. And I was like,
Yeah,
wow.
super casual, no big deal.
Awesome.
"That's pretty cool."
That's really cool.
Could I
love
ask, how did you get into this line of work? Because I imagine it's a very niche field.
I don't know. I was a weird kid.
No further questions there.
Adds up.
No further questions, Your Honor.
No, but like going on the Wallace and Gromit thing, that was kind of what I watched as a kid.
Right, yeah.
I was like, I enjoy this. And then Chicken Run also was a thing. And I was like, I enjoy this. And then I watched the behind the scenes, and I was like, wait, it's just like puppets on a table, and then people like move them around and they do stuff. Whoa, I want to do that. And then
So cool.
yeah, for some reason I thought that was cool. But
Because
it is cool. I mean,
Yeah, 'cause it is cool.
I feel like that's kind of what we all thought as kids when we saw that that's how that stuff got put together. The difference is you had the actual follow through to go do it.
I guess so. Well, the one thing that like definitely like kind of unlocked my brain to be like, wait, I could actually do this myself was does anyone remember or know about Clay World?
Peripherally.
No.
I don't think.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
The blue clay people online who would just end up dying every episode, basically.
Yeah, they just get splattered
yeah.
constantly.
Yeah.
So I was watching that as a 10-year-old for some reason.
No,
Of course.
that makes sense.
But like it was so simple that I was just like, wait, I could do that. So the vast majority of my early animations with my shitty camera that I borrowed from my parents was literally just rip-offs of Clay World. So
Amazing.
So that's kind of where
No, I get that though. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, you have
So
to
that's-
start
that's
by
kind of-
ripping off something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of how all art is when you first get
No,
started.
literally.
You just rip off other stuff, and then you figure out what you actually do. Like,
I heavily reference because I was freehanding it, but I would like put like I learned how to like put points on the page where different elements were, and like measure things with my pencil like relatively. But I would like beat for beat copy panels from a Legend of Zelda manga, and that's how I learned to draw.
And that's totally valid.
Yeah,
Nice.
and I think as far as like the other thing is like we all saw it and we all thought it was cool, and then there's like the something that's interesting to me personally as a creative person, and we're all creatives here, is that for me I don't know that it was ever like a follow through thing, or if it was just that I couldn't like not do it. Like I didn't want to learn to be good. I just started doing it for fun, and then I was like, I don't think I have the option to stop doing this anymore.
yeah.
It's like this is just it now.
No, that's kind of how
that's...
it started for me. Was just like I was doing it. I wasn't good at it, but it was fun.
Yeah.
And then at like a certain point, I think, there was a time where I actually didn't do it for like a couple of years in like middle school. But then high school rolled around, and I was like, I kind of missed this thing. And then I sort of started, I guess, getting in that mindset of actually trying to quote unquote get good. So I just kind of was watching more stuff, and then
Is that about when Dark Souls came out? Perhaps.
yeah, there you go. It all comes back to Dark Souls. That was the secret catalyst.
It does.
Of course.
Many people are saying this.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So that was
You make it look easy too. Like I know that's something that everyone says to everyone, but like I remember my brother and I tried to make like the stop motion Lego shorts
Mhm.
when we were kids.
Mhm.
And it wasn't the actual animating that was a problem. It was the editing that killed me.
Oh yeah.
Trying to get in there and put that all together. I hated it.
Did
Could not deal.
you take all the pictures individually and then have to like?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, like on a digital camera, and then I uploaded the whole album, and I used like Windows Movie Maker.
Oh god.
Old school. I love it. No, yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully, these days, we have it easy, and we have like an actual program that's meant for stop motion.
Right. Yeah.
It's called Dragon Frame. But you've got your live view, so you can see what you're doing when you hook up your camera to the computer, and it just spits out each frame onto a timeline, so you can see everything that you've already done up to the live view. So you can play it back whenever you want to see how garbage or not garbage it looks.
Right.
Which is really helpful.
Remember,
yeah. If it looks garbage, you want to find out as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when you were doing the like Olin Rogers like chili pepper video.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I watched some of those streams, and I saw that. I think that must have been that program in action.
Yeah.
And how, like it's like the Control Z button where when you're doing digital art, where you just like play it back, and then you'd be like nope, and then you change something just like almost unnoticeable to like to everyone in the chat, and you'd do it again, and you'd be like, yeah, that's good, and I'm like, I don't know what changed.
No, well, I guess not. That's just a thing where you can move something like 0.5 millimeter and it'll be too much, which is just really great. So then you just sometimes just sit there poking it back and forth. I mean, I guess it
just
depends on
trying to
how
get it to land in the right spot.
Yeah. I guess it depends on how much effort you're feeling that day, but
right.
I tend to get in the trap where I'm like, no, it must be perfect.
Yeah, I feel that. What was I gonna say? Oh, so we've kind of gotten away from ParaNorman, but I am
That's okay.
That's fine.
I am gonna continue to keep us away from ParaNorman because I'm curious.
As long as we're still
ParaNorman's a good
talking about
movie.
stop-motion
Watch the movie.
animation, it is topical.
We're on topic.
Exactly.
I remember a few years ago, when Missing Link, Leica's newest piece,
Yes.
came out. People were talking about 3D printing and stop motion animation.
Yes.
Because it used to be that you had to hand make everything, and now that they can like 3D print like in between expressions and stuff, things are getting a lot smoother. And I remember feeling like when I saw like trailers for Missing Link, I'm like, that doesn't even look like stop motion anymore. Like, what's the point?
No, I didn't
if
realize
it's not
it was
gonna,
stop
like...
motion actually until I saw it on the Leica website.
Yep.
So I was wondering what your thoughts are, and also if you're allowed to tell us how much of that is like being utilized for the Pinocchio movie at all.
Ooh.
If you're contractually able to talk too much about Pinocchio.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Let's
review the contract real quick.
Give me like 30 minutes. No. Yeah, that was the thing about Missing Link that I can say that because I didn't work on it. Was I was around while it was being worked on, but I didn't.
Oh.
But yeah, that was a thing where it's like they're really, really pushing for like smooth, which in my opinion isn't necessarily a good thing in regards to stop motion. Because at that point, like if you can't tell it's stop motion, which is part of the quote unquote charm,
right?
Which I like, then you better have a good story,
right?
I feel like it's the same as people that act like art is only valid if it's almost like a photorealistic render.
Yeah.
It's like, well, where's the fun of whatever gimmick a different artist could have over another of just like a stylistic difference if everyone's pushing toward photorealism?
Yeah.
I feel like that would be the other issue with perfect quote unquote animations like that.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of one of the things, this is a bit of a tangent, but Spider-Verse did for me.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It was like, I had various opinions about CGI.
Sure.
Being like kind of just to me a bit uninteresting. I guess it depended on what the movie was. But then Spider-Verse happened and I was like, ooh, that's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
And it kind of
Yeah.
opened up my mind a bit to what like CGI and computer animation could be. The same with Lego Movie. I'm really happy with the way they animated that movie, even though it's completely CGI.
Yeah.
Because it just looks like so perfect, and it's such an homage to all those brick films that people were just doing in their bedroom. And it makes me happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in both
I'm not gonna
cases,
lie,
the thing
I
that's cool
didn't
about
know it
them
was
is
CGI.
that they stylized it to be like something else rather than just going 3D animation and making it look like it.
Yeah.
And
That's something.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Sorry.
Like even watching the trailers for the first time back when I was in high school, I was like, wait, is this stop motion or is it CGI?
Yeah.
So they
I do
fooled
feel
me.
lightly betrayed.
Just a touch, honestly.
Yeah. But
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
they did good.
Same here. I remember that.
They made it cool.
Yeah, they made it cool. But yeah, that's all I had to say.
And-
So where were we? I apologize.
We were
I
talking
took the
about
3D printing.
Oh yeah, 3D printing.
3D printing.
No, yeah. So going back to Coral, because they've refined the process of like 3D printing over the years, as things are one to do. So like I'm pretty sure Coraline also had 3D printed faces, but they were a lot more limited, and they also were, to my knowledge, like hand painted as well, which is insane to do.
Wow.
But that's also why like Coraline only had like 6 freckles on her face, because they had to just be,
that makes sense.
they just had to be painted by hand. And then
oh my god.
And then ParaNorman, the vast majority of the main characters also have 3D printed faces, but they were color printed, and you could actually get like more detail in there because it's baked into the rapid prototype.
Right.
So that's kind of getting better and better, and I think, to my knowledge, like they went from using kits, like they would have a kit of like, you know, the phonetics or whatever, and then some in betweens of the phonetics, and it would be a big kit, but it would still be a kit. But then they went closer to just straight up printing full sets of dialogue for each shot.
Oh, wow.
Like, all right.
Jeez.
Wow.
So it's like the entire facial performance is like animated in CG beforehand and then printed out, which is a lot.
That's a lot.
But okay.
Yeah.
That is a lot.
It feels very excessive to me, but also I say that as a person who's not in the industry and wasn't the guy that had to make minute facial adjustments with a phonetic kit. So
right.
Yeah.
Honestly, I prefer being able to use a kit, because then you can kind of like change things to like sort of suit a better, I don't know, shape for whatever sound is being made. And it's kind of like you can think about it, and because with printing out an entire you know, piece of dialogue, you just kind of sitting there in frame, just like taking off the face and slapping it back on, not really thinking about it.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay. And then it just kind of becomes a chore. So
Yeah. That makes sense.
Takes a little bit of the art out of it almost.
But there's
because it takes that whole creative process of the mouth, like the mouth shapes and stuff, and moves that to the CG like area of things instead of to the actual like stop motion.
Yeah, which is one thing about Pinocchio that I'll go into is
exclusive information.
Red alert, new Pinocchio info.
No.
New? Maybe not, but new to us.
It's just about because there are some, well, even in Fantastic Mr. Fox and even in ParaNorman, Fantastic Mr. Fox is definitely a different style of stop motion. It's more akin to more old school looking, which I enjoy.
It's cool.
Just a bunch of fucked up little dudes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's what's called like a head mech, which is when a character has basically not necessarily a robotic face, but like an armatured face. So they have like lip paddles and brow paddles, so you can actually push up and manipulate the mouth like with tools instead of replacing the face. And then that's covered with a silicone skin that's like attached in certain places to make sure the mouth and the mouth and brows like move hopefully properly.
Like how they made the Chucky doll.
Yeah, pretty much.
Of course.
But that's really nice because you can, I mean, it depends. It's kind of a daunting thing when you're doing it for the first time, because you're suddenly responsible for everything that face does. And that's the thing that everyone in the audience is looking at all the time. So it better be right. And faces are difficult.
Otherwise, you get pretentious podcasts like us saying, well, I mean, ParaNorman was fine, but if you look closely, you can see his father had no soul in his eyes.
Yeah, there you go. No, it's
because his father sucks. Sorry, go ahead.
But that's kind of a nice thing because if you get like a good head mech, or I guess a well-refined head mech, you can like get really subtle like pushes on the brows to like just feel that slight tiny bit of like muscle movement under the skin, which is like something you can lose if it's 3D printed, depending on the limitations, because it kind of has to go from one pose to the next.
Right.
Unless they have so many different in-betweens that you can swap that out and actually get some kind of like smooth motion.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's a thing. In Fantastic Mr. Fox, it doesn't really look like they had very refined head mechs for some of the human characters, but that's okay, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It did lend to like specifically the charm and the tone of that movie.
Yeah.
It felt like everything was supposed to feel just a little bit off.
Yeah. So it really didn't matter that much. But yeah, so there is going back to 3D printing stuff, there is a bit of that in Pinocchio, but I think they did a good job of doing it because they did it with Pinocchio because he's made of wood.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I was actually just about to ask if it was on Pinocchio or if you could tell us, because little wooden boy with a 3D printed face actually does make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. So I think it worked a lot because you can get away with like popping to different shapes because he's he's made of wood, and wood doesn't exactly bend.
Right.
So kind of lends to a better or a more believable movement in his face, which is nice. Right. And also there's the whole thing with 3D printed faces whereas in ParaNorman and pretty much all Leica films, they isolate the brows and the mouth. So there's like a seam going through the corners of their eyes in real life. So you can only pop off like half the face if you want to change the mouth, but keep the brow shape. Oh, but of course they have to paint out that giant seam across like the edges of their face and across their eyes in post.
Right. Yeah.
But there's...
which makes sense.
Yeah. Because unless you're really going for that style, it'd be probably pretty distracting. Because they did that in Anomalisa. And Anomalisa is an interesting movie. Yeah. But they just kind of kept it that way. But I think I think that's part of the story. Don't quote me. It's a weird story. But anyway, in Pinocchio, they did a kind of smart thing where you don't have to do it now, but if you look at his design, he has like 2 knots for eyes.
Oh.
And those eyes just kind of pop out, and then you can take the whole face off.
So that's interesting.
So they isolated like his quote unquote brows just in those eye sockets, instead of having to deal with like erasing a seam in post across his face.
Oh, that's
very cool.
So smart.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
That is really
no,
neat.
pulled it up.
Yeah.
Look at that little wooden boy.
Oh, he's so cute. I love his design. I remember seeing the concept art, like we were talking about Spider-Verse, and seeing like, because the like teaser trailer dropped like way back. And I remember concept art for this Pinocchio movie was circulating Tumblr like almost constantly when I was in college.
Tilda Swinton's in this? I'm so excited.
Yep.
You're just but yeah, like I remember seeing the concept art for this and being thrilled that like it seems like we're going back to like the kind of character design that like I really love from like a lot of stop motion, is because of like I feel like it's partially because of like the limitations of what you're able to change. That these character designs end up usually being really exaggerated and iconic in a lot of ways. And like I can definitely see that in the finished design. I'm glad that like that's how it ended up looking, because I was afraid that the designs were going to get more simple and less like exaggerated as we got closer to the finished product. But like I'm looking at the knot eyes and I'm like, that's so good.
Oh, yeah, I love the designs of the characters. I love Geppetto. I love Pinocchio. Pinocchio is probably my favorite. He was great to work with because he's just wood, obviously, and he's just he's basically an exposed armature that's just been made to look like, you know, chunks of wood put together.
Oh my gosh.
And you don't have to, because there's a thing with like regular characters that were regular just humanoid characters, they have clothes on, and that's fabric, And if that fabric is not like properly, I guess, suited for animation, it just like whenever you touch it, it's just going to move slightly. So you get that chatter or boiling, as some people call it. And it just looks like their shirt is just like going all over the place if it's like too loose. But Pinocchio doesn't have clothes on, so it doesn't matter. And he's really easy to animate because of it.
That makes sense.
I'm sorry, wait a minute. Did we just get confirmation nudist Pinocchio?
Oh, man.
I don't think I can watch this on my Good Christian podcast anymore.
Breaking story.
Is that what this podcast is? Hold on.
Hold on. I've got to take a phone call. But no. Yeah, like that makes a lot of sense because the fabric thing is something that I've always thought about as well because like I again, not to like bring up your old animation again, but we were watching
Do it, roast me.
we're watching the Tender Cut animation with Jacksepticeye, and he's got the flat cap.
Oh yeah.
And it has pretty rough cuts on it,
yeah.
so like there are stray threads that are just going crazy every time he moves his
That
head.
puppet was garbage.
Honestly, that's one of my favorite things to watch for in stop motion because of aforementioned Wallace and Gromit era.
Right, of course.
You can, every now and then you just see a whole thumbprint on Wallace's face out of nowhere.
Hell yeah.
And then eventually it gets worked out, but it'll be there for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
And that's always been my favorite thing to look for, just like dust on shoulders. Like if your character has like a little wool shirt, for example, and I'm just like, oh, look at that tiny little thread. I see you wiggle.
One thing I really like looking for, even in like CG animated movies, I like looking at the background characters because I'm interested to see how much effort the animator put into keeping them alive.
Oh yeah. I think old Toy Stories, like the first two Toy Story movies, are probably the best for that because they barely cared about the guys in the front. They were too busy showcasing other cool things. But if you look at the people at the yard sale in Toy Story 2, oh god, they're scary.
Wasn't there like one scene where every child is just Andy?
Yeah, in the first
That
one.
tracks.
Yeah,
That makes
they
sense.
all have the same face.
What, Pizza Planet?
And
I would assume.
they're counting on
Oh,
you
no,
just
it was his
not paying
birthday.
attention.
Oh,
to
yeah.
them.
Yeah.
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 I love that. I love innovation in like animation specifically because you have stuff like let's just duplicate the one kid, or you have VeggieTales where they're like let's just not give anyone arms.
Oh,
That'll
yeah.
make things better. Like the way that things have like advanced, but the way that you can point to specific things being workarounds is so fun to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was doing that with to bring it back to ParaNorman. I was doing that.
Yeah, finally.
Paranormal.
It's been like 40 minutes.
Because I watched it again last night, obviously for the podcast, do my research.
Of course. Yeah.
And I was doing that thing where I was just watching like the out of focus characters in the foreground and just people in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really jealous because there was like a solid like 5 seconds where the character was just not moving. And I was like, damn it.
Ooh.
It's like I'm proud of you for getting away with it, but also now I'm mad that I put so much effort in sometimes.
Was it like an obvious moment too, like in a walk or something like that, or were they just like standing somewhere like stone still and then started moving? Because I didn't know.
I think it was mostly when it's like, the over the shoulder shots where the character's just like listening to the main focus of the shot.
Right.
And that out of focus character is just kind of like just standing there. And I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
wow, you got away with it. But there are times where like if characters are, walking, but it's like waist up, they're kind of just like bobbing along because they're not actually
that.
walking, and I'm pretty sure like off screen they're just on a rig being moved
Yeah.
up and down, and I'm like, dang it,
It's like
you got away with it.
that's so
It makes sense.
Oh, I love
it
that.
makes the most sense to do that way, but
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like a lot of times when you're like a one-man team for like your own projects and stuff, watching things that have like bigger crews behind them, it's always like a little bit of jealousy.
Yeah.
A little I watched a speed paint someone did one time, and I like realized that like this like line art that I had thought was like really clean, gorgeous, well-weighted line art was a sketch that they had like painted over and just left some of it exposed.
What?
And I got so mad for no reason. I'm like, I can do that. Like, there's no reason I can't, but I felt lied to that I had told myself that it was lines.
Oh, yeah. It's like, wow, how dare you? But also, I admire you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've felt like that listening to music a handful of times because, well, Oliver, me and Noah are both musicians, just for
Ooh, nice.
for information. Lots of times, well, not lots of times, but every now and then I'll be listening to something and I will hear a guitarist do a particular, like, I don't know, like there'll just be like a little like hand moving over strings noise in between notes or something like that. And when I listen to it, I'll always be like, oh, I wouldn't have left that in there. Or if I put it in there, it would have been because I was making the song suck on purpose, because I just do that sometimes. But like, I'll be listening to things and I'll just be like, oh, I would never have sounded like that. But this works perfectly, so why don't I do that?
I know.
Yeah.
There's always a thing with watching other animators' shots, and then looking at it, you're just like, oh, great. But then I'll do a shot and I'm like, all right, I guess it's fine.
Yeah.
And then other people would just be like, great shot. And I'm like, are you sure?
Like, what?
Did you see everything wrong?
It's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like with your own art, your eye is drawn to the mistakes naturally.
Yeah.
Because you're going to criticize yourself way more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Well, and for stop motion, it's got to like exaggerate that as well, right? Because for every single frame, you got to just stare at the whole thing for like 20 minutes and
Yep.
like you get so much more time to just sit in it than you do with any other medium.
I know.
That's
It's always
gotta be...
it's crazy because I was going back to that whole like millimeter thing where it feels like they're moving too much.
Yeah.
I'll be doing a shot where a character is just kind of like doing that whole listening thing, but they're not like because they're the focus of the shot. I fear killing them in that like they'd stop moving or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm always doing that like slight movement and thankfully they're on a rig, so you get like winders, so you can turn a knob and they'll only move like ever so slightly, which is great.
I love that.
So that'll happen, and I'll like move them, 0.1 millimeters too far, and I'm like, shit, it's ruined. But then I'll watch it back like 2 days later, and I'm like, oh, he's like barely moving. What the fuck?
Watch it back 2 days later, and you zoom out from your 30 times zoom in on the spot that you knew you were moving. It's like, oh wait, that's right.
Oh yeah.
You can't see that.
Like
God.
that's like 100% correct. Because in Dragonframe you have like zooms, and you can create like extra timelines that are just like zoomed in on this one spot, and I'll do that for like characters who are like, I don't know, far away if it's a wide shot. And I would have been like doing something with their face, like I'd make them like glare a bit, so I'd squint their eyes over the course of like, I don't know, 20 frames or whatever. And then you watch the shot and you're like, I really shouldn't have like done that. I shouldn't have bothered.
Hey, when the special 8K release is put out in like 3 years,
everybody's gonna see
people
the
will
difference.
notice, and they'll be like, wow, the animation in this was just insane.
It's ahead of its time.
TVs are only
And meanwhile,
going to
you're
keep
just like, I
getting
can't
bigger,
believe
and
it.
things are gonna get more noticeable.
I know. I'm so afraid.
Terrifying.
It's just like watching all the widescreen releases of Friday the 13th, where it's like, no, these were cut into a square format for a reason, and it was to hide the film crew and the all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of like very minute changes and kind of like expressions and things, in ParaNorman, there's like a scene towards the beginning where it like focuses in on the uncle's eyes for a couple seconds, and it's just very expressive and like moves around a lot. And I was like, wow, that must have been really annoying to shoot.
Yeah.
No, it's one of the nice things. So their faces are like replaceable, but the eyelids and the eyes are just like in there. Like there's the eyes are real, and that you can like move them around as much as you need to. separately, which is kind of a pain because then you have to like focus them properly.
Oh no, yeah.
There's no fun little like parenting null that you can do in CG where you just have the eyes aim at something. So we just have to like hope for the best and like squint at it and make sure they're looking in the right direction.
Whoa.
But then there's like the eyelids are set just ever so slightly up from the eye, so you can move those individually. Well, hopefully move those individually without like knocking the eyes out of place.
Right.
So you can get like really good like slow squints or like an eye twitch or anything like that, or even like a half blink, which is like all the things that keep a character alive, and it's really nice when that happens.
Right.
So that's kind of something I try to do a lot. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's good that they have the option. But yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's one of my favorite things.
That was really fun. And then another thing that I like that they did with Pendergast was when he's wheezing all over Norman in that one scene, his face slowly starts getting like really purple.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was another one where I was like, oh man. Like not even like on a technical level. I just like sometimes when watching like animation and stuff, it's like the attention to detail that people put into stuff like that like maybe a kid's not gonna notice.
Oh yeah.
Like I really appreciate that people put that thought into like into their art, even if it's like, oh, it's just a kid's movie. It's like, no, I want to be able to tell that this man's on the brink of death. Thank you very much.
No, I think they did a similar thing towards the beginning with Courtney, where like Norman is like smugly proving that grandma is like there and real, and how grandma said like you need to stop putting photos of the football team or whatever it was in your underwear drawer, and she like she's freaking out, but she also starts blushing, and I think it's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, something else that stood out to me a lot was a lot of characters in this movie have like flappy stuff hanging off their clothes. They've got long hair that just walks around as they move.
The chin on that one zombie.
The wobbly chin.
Yeah, that must have been
I loved that.
So much work, so much attention to detail. Oh my god.
To like the difference in like movement, like and the delay with like
the drag and the I guess that reminds me. So I'm pretty sure all of the zombies have the silicone faces with like wire in there, which is how they could get that to move so well.
Yeah.
I think they're like regular people puppets in the flashbacks. Those look like 3D printed. At least they look animated like the 3D printed. But yeah, the zombies had all that like floppy skin on them.
That is such an interesting detail.
Yeah.
To just have the zombies be like just literally made out of different stuff than the other puppets to make them look different.
Yeah.
That is so fucking cool.
I know.
Oh my god.
But yeah, going back to like all the floppy stuff, everything that like you don't think about, like cloth, or there's a shot. It's like I really like that there's a little moment where when they're playing fetch with Neil's dead dog, and Neil like just from a character standpoint, Neil like offers the stick to Norman, and there's like a really like earnest, just like kid moment with the both of them where they're kind of like stumbling over their words. Yeah, and I really like it. But anyway, after he like accidentally hits Neil in the face with the stick, and like they start like laughing about it. In that one shot, Norman is like obviously laughing, but I was looking at his little zipper and like all his keychains and stuff on his bag, and those like bump around a little bit. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, someone had to like rig those.
Did that.
And they had to be animatable. Going back to like the clothes thing. Yeah. In stop motion, you actually have to, if you want like the clothes to behave a certain way, even his like hoodie probably has wire in the hood, so you can like you know move it do proper gravity and forces and all that. But even like the folds of the fabric have to be built into the actual design, so they fold in miniature, which is a lot.
Oh yeah. Because I'm assuming that all thread like that, you have to have like super fine thread and like everything like that. So it's not like too stiff to actually flow and move in such a miniature setting. I'm basically thinking of like GI Joe clothes or like Barbie clothes that are like stiff and like borderline feel starched.
Yeah, for the size that they are.
You know,
Yeah, well,
it's cheap cloth on a tiny format and just doesn't bend.
you'd be surprised how like I think stiff some of the parts of the clothes are. Like you'd feel it and you'd be like, oh, interesting. But the creases are like built in, so they fold a certain way every single time.
Right.
Which is
Nice.
a lot. And I don't know how they do it.
That's cool though.
That's the thing, I guess. Like if it were too soft and flowed too naturally in like, you know, in real life, in real time, it wouldn't look right in an animation, would it?
No, I mean it depends because like my shitty old puppets are just like fabric sewn onto them, and I kind of just like tighten it as much as possible to relieve myself of that stress.
That makes sense.
Just try and get it to not show any way that you can.
Yeah, but they're like soft clothes, but that's me by myself with low budget.
And your puppets are just fluffy boys to begin with, kind of.
Yeah. They're fluffy boys and they're already tiny canonically, so I'm safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very helpful.
That is a good point.
Just as a thematic cue.
That's my excuse.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold to it.
Hey, if it works. I mean,
yeah. Built-in lore.
Can I talk about my favorite part of the movie?
Yeah.
Please.
Yes.
And this is maybe, I mean, I don't really know, but it's maybe not as impressive as kind of like the small detail stuff, but when Norman is talking to the witch girl in that kind of like otherworldly realm, and her form keeps kind of like shifting and like glitching and everything like all over the place. I just thought, I'm sure like, because there's a lot of like yellow light and stuff happening all over the place with that, and I'm sure that's kind of like CG enhanced, but I just thought like that scene is so like visually cool, and I love it a lot.
One of my favorite things, both in that scene and in a few others, Norman's ears, the way that light passes through them.
Yeah, me too. I love that detail.
Oh yeah, they did glow just that tiny bit.
Yeah, get that good old
that was
subsurface scattering.
Yeah.
Which I'm curious.
Technical terminology.
I'm curious if they like in the 3D print. I'm curious if they just like added like red underneath the skin tone, because that's what it is. Like subsurface scattering is when light passes through your skin and like scatters and like goes out, so you kind of see like a little bit of red tinge when you're like looking through your hand or behind the ear, which is what we're talking about.
Right.
I do love that you just slipped into YouTube tutorial voice of the boring detail portion.
Yeah, fucking subsurface. Fuck it.
Yeah, it hits the blood and it bounces back, and that's why I have to put red outlines on my shadows when I draw sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just curious if they actually did that, or if it was just like a happenstance thing where it kind of worked out anyway.
Yeah.
And they went with it.
Yeah.
I'd love to know.
Such a small detail. If they did it on purpose, then like massive respect for that. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that like personally, I think like if you're giving a character big ears, like I would think that maybe that would be something that you'd take into account of like what's something about like the big ears that we can do to draw attention to them, and like one of those things would be like, oh, the lighting on the ears and the subsurface scattering.
Which I think is funny, because I think I've heard, this is just hearsay, but I think in a lot of live action movies, they actually put tape behind the ears so that doesn't happen, which I think is funny.
That's really funny, but it makes sense.
That's interesting.
I guess it's...
Well, because like I said, it draws attention to the ears, so you might not want that.
The director's probably like...
I mean, it also makes sense because you have to have a lot of artificial light, so it may look just unnatural.
That's true.
Yeah.
The director's like, your ears are too bright. Take that down.
What does that even mean?
Can you turn down your ears a little, please?
What?
Turn down for what?
Hey.
Oh my god.
I haven't thought about this song in so long, Emma. Why would you do that to me?
My coworker played dubstep the other day.
Oh wow.
And I almost
Was it good dubstep?
It was Skrillex.
Okay.
So I guess
so 50-50.
yes, that's about as good as you can get for that era.
I was kind of hoping for Tron Legacy soundtrack dubstep.
Oh.
I was hoping for Excision.
Wow,
hoping
we're
for Knife
all on
Party.
a whole no, shut up, Knife Party.
I like Knife Party.
There's nothing wrong with
that
Knife
stuff
Party.
makes my ears bleed.
They're as good as
Anyway.
Succession, which is like, not great. It's just fun.
This is unrelated to anything. I'm gonna look up who scored ParaNorman.
Who was it? Shit.
Yeah, who was that actually?
Fuck.
I usually check into that.
John Bryan.
Oh, that's what it
is
was.
the name.
I am not familiar with what he does.
Me neither. I did note the score. Like, it wasn't one of those things where, like, a lot of times if it's an artist or a soundtrack artist I've never heard of, I don't like notice. Like, I don't think about it. But with this one specifically, I was like, oh, this music's very good and whimsical and high energy, and I love
it.
it.
Definitely does everything that it needs to.
Yeah, and it definitely had like a bit of a theme where there's that that leitmotif, or however you pronounce it. I never said it out loud.
Yeah.
Sue me. But that whole do, whenever it's like a nice moment.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
It's like Norman's theme or something.
Yeah. It's super good, and it works really well. He did, let's see what else he did. He did Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Lady Bird, and Christopher Robin are the ones that I am noting.
What a wild departure from this movie specifically.
Oh, yeah.
Christopher Robin makes sense to me, but other than
that... but not Sunshine.
He also composed a score for a Pixar short film, The Blue Umbrella.
Oh.
So.
That's nice.
Yeah. I like music and animation. I think, like, because I was talking about this with a couple different people. I know I mentioned it to Emma, and I was talking about it on Twitter. But the reason that I like art in general is Fantasia 2000, the Disney collection of like short stories or short films set to classical music. And like now whenever I'm watching an animated movie and like, or I'm listening to classical music, my brain is like doing like the little, oh, I see why they use like this here to like do like, oh, because it's like a bird, because it's like a friggin' little flute or whatever. So I noticed like with this one, I really enjoyed it, especially because like it pays a lot of homages like visually to old horror movies, but there's a lot of like sound cues as well where I'm like, oh yeah, like in the score itself.
And they've got that whole 80s synth that kicks in whenever the zombies show up.
Yeah.
It's like, yep,
I love that.
It's
time.
so
Such a
good.
Cool touch.
Yeah. Even with like the homage at the beginning with the shitty horror film.
Oh my god, that was
I love that
so much
It's
fun.
so good.
When can we get that movie on the podcast?
Right? I want to watch it. The grandma is me watching movies with Noah sometimes.
Yeah, that's me and Nina watching the Saw movies, and she's just like, don't you think there's a better way they could handle something? Like, no, shut up, Nina. This is the best Saw movie.
It was Saw 2, and I was like, this is...
Saw 2 is I never said Saw 2 was the best. I never said that.
Okay.
Saw 3 is the best Saw movie.
Yeah, probably.
Cran, do you have an opinion on Saw as a franchise? I just want to feel this out.
It's okay.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, that's
how
fine.
into
It's just
horror
me.
movies are you?
I enjoy them. For some reason, I haven't seen a lot of them, especially recently.
Yeah.
I think the last...
I get that.
That's
I think
fair.
the last one I saw was... Oh, I guess the last one I saw was probably Malignant.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love Malignant.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up. It was ridiculous, and I loved it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got it. Hold on. I got a
Yeah.
tattoo.
I can't believe we have another Malignant fan.
Yeah. I'm like obsessed. So
Honestly, now
that
that
makes
we
me
brought
very
it up,
happy
I
to
kind of
hear.
want to watch it again. I'll probably just watch it after
It's a
this.
fun movie.
I
feel
need
it.
to watch it again. Speaking of after this, I think that we should probably be getting to wrapping up. So I got to do someone's notes here. It's Noah's. I got to read Noah's notes.
Yeah, I was about to say, is there
It's
a
our-
question as to whose notes you're reading suddenly? Or?
It's our segment, Noah's notes.
It's my
I guess-
notes this week.
Oh my god.
This was the part that I forgot to fill you in on. We do a portion where I took notes through the whole movie, and then Nina reads them all.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Not all of
just
them.
Well, not all of
just
them.
I get
Yeah.
to choose.
One day, Emma filled in for Nina and literally was reading every single note, and I felt very put on blast. I'm just like, Emma, you're not supposed to read these. Some of these notes are for me.
Some of these notes
Okay.
are personal.
Like, let's start out with the personal note. Noah says, God, I want Norman's room. That's a
Yeah.
mood.
It's a good room.
I love those. Like, we didn't talk about this, but the set design in this movie is great as well.
So many little details.
I loved it. We were making jokes about the trash can earlier, but like the contents of the trash can killed me. It's just like the stereotypical fish head.
I love, and it's anytime you need someone to know, hey, that's garbage, you put a fish head in it. Has any American family purchased a whole fish and put the head in the trash can in the last 10 years?
No.
15 years? 30 years? Maybe.
My dad never gets rid of the head. He makes a soup out of it.
Of course,
any self-respecting dad would make a soup out of everything that's left. If you've got bones from an animal, you make soup. Everyone knows this.
Yeah, of course.
And then you put oatmeal in it, right, Tim?
That's right.
This is
our dad puts oatmeal in everything. It's funny.
Noah says, "Mobster ghost."
I love the mobster ghost.
I knew you would notice that guy
hopping around on his little cement shoes.
Yeah, all the little ghosts in that little part are really good.
I was really hoping that we would get more from those individual ghosts later in the movie, honestly. I was kind of disappointed that we didn't.
It would have been cool.
There's a lot of fun world building about like the town ghosts, and then they just, why is Amelia Earhart there? Question mark?
Or is just impaled on a tree branch.
She's doing fine.
Hanging in there.
Oh.
Stop.
Boo.
Noah says, "Holy fuck, I love that town sign. Imagine living in a town where you just have a witch hanging in a noose as part of the town logo. I want that in my house."
You know, it would be a choice.
Y'all notice that sign? Because it's a happy couple and then the witch just hanging there shooting finger guns at you like, hey, welcome to Witch Town, Witchburg, USA.
The story of the witch,
fucked.
A 10-year-old girl, it's fucked up, and I love
Absolutely
it.
Absolutely horrible.
They don't pull in. That's one thing I love about this movie is they don't pull any punches on like the backstory elements. I do think they pull punches near the end with the whole you're no better than the men who literally hung you as a child.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
I don't agree with that message very much.
Read,
Noah's roasting the child bullies for their insults. He says, damn, what a roast. Why don't you go see some more ghosts, goober? Damn, nothing but hits.
I know. The bullies are such shit bullies.
They're not just dumb. They're not good at their job.
They say like something kind of regular, and then they're just like, goober.
It's
like, damn, you got them.
Oh, you like lunch? Well, why don't you go eat it?
Goober. That's so
I could try out for
That's
this movie.
It is great for Alvin because Alvin is such a goober.
He really is.
So it really does work for him.
Also, just tagging on to that, I love all the jokes that are made by other characters about the idea of Norman talking to ghosts. Like when the mom tells the dad to like calm down or else he's gonna have a stroke, and he's like, well, good, maybe if I die, Norman will finally listen to me.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Noah really likes the dad character.
He's fun.
He says now we'll never get to remember this moment, Taz says, as all the little red lights shine out around them. This really is hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
They got a lot of good jokes like that. He says it's the same energy of the dad in the black phone being like, no more dreaming about scary shit. Just stop seeing the future or ghosts or whatever. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Heavily recommend checking that movie out if you're looking for a good time with a bad time.
Ooh, I should.
What do we got? Noah says, I need to get a good ringtone because the Halloween theme was Norman's ringtone, and I think that Noah's jealous of a fictional 10-year-old's aesthetic.
I don't have a ringtone. It's always on vibrate.
I do think to see it in real life, I think the Halloween theme as the ringtone is a little bit overdone. You want to go for something else.
Oh, it is. But also, right now, my ringtone is like Mushroom Head when it's unmuted.
Nice.
And I feel like I need to grow up and stop being 13.
I mean,
Noah says, and I know exactly which scene this is about. Noah says, damn, who directed this scene, Quentin? Referring to the scene where where Courtney is painting her toenails and there's a shot that her foot is just like in the middle of the frame.
Yeah.
It is the only shot like that in the whole movie, but it is off-putting.
Fun fact, I know who animated that shot. I think. Well, it was actually it was my mentor during my internship. It was Jason Stallman.
And your mentor's name?
No.
Quentin Tarantino.
No,
It all
it's
came
stop
back.
motion aficionado Quentin Tarantino.
Oh my
But
god.
no, he did that shot, and also there's a thing. I guess I haven't mentioned it yet, but it's kind of it might be obvious. I don't know. But we like act out like shots beforehand, like in live action,
Right.
to get reference. So he had to act out that shot,
And
and then animated it. But yeah, that's.
He did a great job.
Thank you. I'll let him know.
Hey man, we really liked your foot fetish scene.
Stop
Very
it.
good work.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
What else here? Noah says tongue you in reference to Pendergast's floppy tongue.
It just rolled out of his head.
I wonder whose decision it was to add that in the movie. Honestly, I'm like, okay.
Probably M. Night
literally,
Shyamalan.
genuinely, because
What a twist.
it literally, when I was a kid and I first watched this movie, that was the only part of this entire movie that made me genuinely uncomfortable. Was like the Norman wrestles with a dead body scene. I was like, this is going on for far too long.
So in this scene, we're gonna have an old homeless corpse lick a child's face. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great in a movie for kids.
Oh, and also that's his uncle, the homeless corpse. That's his uncle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it even better, you know?
Yeah, this is the stuff kids want to see, right?
Yeah. Anyway, continue.
What else have I got? Noah says, Midwest mom voice. Woo, traffic tonight, am I right?
Oh yeah.
Yep. Noah says, damn, Norm got vaporized for telling a sensitive story. That is true. And then he says, gay jock has a boyfriend. What a twist. TBH, I really like how this movie is just super casual about this stuff. Not something I expect from a movie directed towards kids.
From 2012.
Oh, yeah.
I should
From
also tack
2012.
that on.
Particularly, yeah.
It was literally shocking. I was like at that sweet spot when I saw this movie in 2012 where I did not know that I was bisexual yet. And I also was not homophobic. I wasn't in my homophobe era either. So I watched it and it was that sweet spot where I was like, why did that make me so happy? I was like,
you know what?
I was like, wow, that's really cool. I wonder why I care so much that happened.
Talking of which, you know what else made me happy? And it was kind of cool because it was like the first like teaser of one of the movies, like the first teaser of Box Trolls. If you watch that, they just like straight up go into different kinds of parents, and it's really cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, no, that
Nice.
was really cool. I remember that because my mom got mad about it.
Great.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Of course.
But yeah, no, that's Noah's notes. Which means that we have pretty much, unless anyone has anything else they want to say real quick.
No.
Then that means it's time, sir. Do you have any personal projects that you want to talk about? Do you
Perhaps.
Yeah, you got anything
do you
coming up?
you
or-
can bring up anything?
Yeah.
Because I know we'll do Pinocchio for you, hitting theaters in November and Netflix
Isn't
in
it
December.
Okay, theaters
December.
November, Netflix December. That's
Yeah.
right.
Mhm. At least that's what the internet told me.
Cool.
But in full fairness, if you search Pinocchio 2022, Disney bought up all that ad space, and you can't find the right one. It has like
Yeah.
It has your trailer and stuff, but it talks about the Disney remake.
Oh yeah, like the IMDb page
It's so weird.
for the correct Pinocchio is just
Yeah.
Correct
just
Pinocchio.
the one true
all over the place.
Pinocchio.
Yeah, the one true Pinocchio.
I bet.
But yeah.
Yeah.
All hail the one true Pinocchio. I'm gonna say it. It really feels like they're trying to capitalize on the hype around the movie you worked on by throwing out the Pinocchio remake.
Oh, that's 100%.
'Cause
That
I don't
has to
care
be
about
it,
that
right?
one.
That has to be
But
the
I was-
only thing that's
'cause
going on.
The other one did it too. That weird father. When can I go to be on my own?
Father.
Like that one came
The
out too.
yassified Pinocchio.
I cannot believe that we got 3 Pinocchios in 1 year and it wasn't riding the coattails of Guillermo del Toro was making a Pinocchio movie.
Ooh,
Come
I
on
know.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
it's too
one
much
that
of a
actually had some
coincidence.
hype around it.
The one that, again, I saw concept art for like in 2015, 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's been a thing
Anyway.
for a while. They knew.
Yeah.
They
that's
knew what they were doing.
shitty of them, really.
But yeah, so that one's hitting. That one's coming out soon. I've been very excited for it, obviously. But what about you personally?
Well, I've got this series called Cranbersher's Guide to Stop Motion, and it's gonna happen eventually.
Better. I paid. I paid good money for that.
Every episode, do you introduce yourself as a different name?
I wish.
Like Brittany,
Burstany Crantano.
That would be. You got that one. You got a freebie there.
Damn, I missed out. No, so honestly, if you want like an actual update, I'm scheduled to start animating this Monday. The puppets needed for that scene are 99% done. I just have to give them little flourishes, and then I can actually start. So it's happening.
I'm so excited.
That's hype.
Exciting.
I am so excited.
That's a good series.
Yeah. For our listeners, if you aren't aware, we're referring to Cranbersher's Guide to Stop Motion, and you guys are listening to a horror movie podcast. So let me just tell y'all, you should watch it.
Link in the bio. I'm gonna put that in the episode description.
I apologize in advance. That's all I'll say.
It's a very.
I don't.
It's very fun.
I don't think
no
there's
apologies
any need to.
here.
No, it's just good. It's fun.
All right. Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. And then as for everyone else,
where is there anywhere that you would like people to find you at?
Yeah.
Yes,
I don't want anyone to find me
other
ever.
than the YouTube link.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I'm on.
Moving right on.
Yeah,
from
respect.
that.
I'm on Twitter. It's Cranbersher. That's all you really need. It's the one I use the most. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's the spot.
I apologize in advance for that as well.
I'm gonna go follow you right now.
If they follow us on Twitter, they've seen all of our nonsense.
Yeah, surely
Our takes are
worse.
probably way worse than yours.
Okay. I'll go.
Okay.
I'm Nina. You can find me at Nina Wolverina on Twitter and Instagram. I do art, and I wrote a book, and you can find that in my bio. I worked really hard on it, and the second one went out to beta readers this week. So the second one is on schedule to come out next year. Super exciting.
Nice.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Other than that, I'm here today with these other people.
Hello, and I was Noah. You can find me at Bubbadabad, Bubbadabad on Twitch, Twitter, and Insta. Someday I'll finish Cult of the Lamb. Honestly, by the time this episode comes out from recording, I'll probably have finished Cult of the Lamb on stream by now. If I haven't over the next 2 weeks, it's kind of embarrassing for me, but we'll play something else eventually.
Yeah. I'm Emma. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter at Emma Panada, and I'm also writing a TTRPG called All the Witches, and its Kickstarter was pushed back to next year so that we can get everything looking good and ready and have it be as cool as possible for when the Kickstarter happens. I'm also going to write a Cult of the Lamb TTRPG for a charity one-shot that my partner's going to do.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, I've already got some mechanics and stuff in mind. I think it's going to be a good time.
Sweet. Excited to hear more about that.
Yeah. So if you want to hear more about that, or whenever the casting call goes out, you can follow at Maddie Matihi on Twitter, because that's where it'll be coming from.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I have been Jeff. You can find me on Twitter at Bubba Wubbadab, UBBAWUBBADABBADABBADABBAD.
Shut the fuck up. Don't make fun of me.
It was impressive, honestly.
Just kept going.
The wubbas never end.
Never.
The wubba
Just like
wubba
Haunt
dub.
Boy Summer.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you so much, Primothy, for stopping by and guessing with us.
Thanks for
today.
having
Wait.
Really appreciate it.
Did we drop the podcast Twitter? Because we have it back now.
We have
it back now. You can follow the podcast at Casual Horror Pod. I made a very funny tweet about
It was
our
very
It
good.
Part 2 episode. So go check that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks again.